stupid humans got me sick. Considering I'm a 389-year-old android, I shouldn't have to deal with this garbage, but unfortunately I do, and it's at a pretty bad time considering I'm on spring break right now, and I've spent the majority of it sitting around and binge-watching Parks and Rec. Netflix told me to go outside. Anyway, let's talk about a game called Demon's Souls, and aside from having improper grammar in its title, it's also a pretty great game. Ever hear of Dark Souls? Well, Demon's Souls is pretty much the slightly older brother, I guess, to Dark Souls. It came out in 2009, so I was 5 years late to the party when I played it, and it's a PS3 exclusive. Demon's Souls was localized by Atlus, rather than Namco Bandai, who did Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2. But I'm an Atlus fan, so that gives me a little extra bias. Now, normally I like to mock people who say the type of thing like, "Is the best game." But in terms of the Souls series, they're all pretty great. Like, even Dark Souls 2, which isn't that great, is still a solid game. Mind you, I'd much rather play Dark Souls 1 or Demon's Souls, but hey, this isn't a review of Dark Souls 2. If you've never played a Souls game, then I can tell you what they're all about. They're action RPGs, but unlike Kingdom Hearts, Tales of the Whatever, or even Nier, Souls games focus much more on methodical attacking and careful defensive maneuvers to avoid taking damage. This isn't like Shin Megami Tensei, where you have to kill the enemy as fast as possible so that they can't touch you. It's more about trying to make sure they don't get any hits on you, and then wearing them down so you can get in hits on them. Being reckless will only get you killed. Something else Demon's Souls does well is atmosphere. The only thing you normally hear in stages is the sounds of the enemies around you, and sometimes the NPCs if they're being noisy. Take the first stage of the Tower of Latria, for example. Here you might just hear mind flayers ringing their bells, and they're fucking annoying. Or the royal's wife singing in her cell. There's no music that plays in this game outside of the boss rooms, and boss music is amazing. And Demon's Souls mixes lighting and great sound design and great music together to create this desolate and lonely atmosphere. A great thing about this game, though, is that it knows when and when not to use its soundtrack. This mixes incredibly well with its deliberate level design and creates one of the best atmospheres I have seen since Metroid Prime on the GameCube. And Dark Souls, which I played after Demon's Souls. If I had to say anything bad about Demon's Souls, and unfortunately I do, I would say that it experiences frame rate drops here and there, and while it's not nearly as messy as Drakengard 3, it is noticeable when it happens. Also, it's not welcoming to newcomers. It's a hard game. It's a very hard game. And when you die, you drop all the souls you've accrued, and then you'll either have to go back to where you were without dying to reclaim your souls, or you'll have to give up all the souls. And trust me, losing over 100,000 is really upsetting. Also, you can't start working on your build until you beat the first boss, which is a little disappointing. Also, cliffs. Fuck cliffs. Another thing some people may have a problem with is that there's the world tendency system, a system that doesn't explain itself to the player, yet reflects how the world treats the player. Doing various things can affect a player's world tendency. However, being connected to the internet can also affect the player's world tendency. It's a system where if you want to get everything using world tendencies, then you shouldn't connect yourself to the internet, because you might screw that up. However, the PvP is pretty fun. People who raid are generally considered jerks, but whatever. Anyway, if you want other recommendations for games that are like Demon's Souls, I'd also recommend Dark Souls. It's sort of like the Metroidvanian brother to Demon's Souls, whereas Demon's Souls is level-based, and you should play both of them. That does not extend to Dark Souls 2.